the first book in the first Law trilogy. I just finished it, and yeah, no, I thought it was really good. It's interesting. The book is very heavily character focused. There's not too much of a focus on plot, although there is an overarching plot. I don't know what it is yet because I'm only one book in. I'm deliberately doing this now, so that I'm not reviewing it as a series, which I'll do at the end. I'm reviewing it as a single book. But as a single book, it's very, very strong, and I'll get into the reasons for that. So, I think the main positive is Joe Abercrombie's sort of writing style. The way he writes characters, absolutely, it's brilliant, really. He has a sort of inner monologue style where each character has their own sort of. So they have what they say outwardly, which you would know if you were interacting with them, but then you hear what they're thinking at the same time, and what they're thinking is really usually pretty brutal stuff because most of his characters are kind of assholes. So mostly what they're thinking is, they might be having a nice interaction with someone, like, hey, how are you? But underneath, like, what an asshole, fucking piece of shit, never went and visit me when I was tortured or whatever, And so you get this, like, kind of the two sides of these characters, their inside and their outside. And I think that style, alongside being very entertaining and quite funny, is also a very good way to sort of introduce you to the inner depth of the character and allow you to understand him a bit better, and also relate to them more. Because most of the characters, well, not most, but a lot of the characters in this book are bad people, bad people. But you come to sort of relate to them a little bit because you understand why they are that way and what made them that way, and you can hope that they're going somewhere because you can sort of see the changes that they undergo. Of course, that does happen in the reverse, where you see that they're not changing, even when they pretend they are. An example of that in action is the character of. I was getting into spoilers, by the way, is the character of Giselle, who appears to be changing for better when he confesses his love for his girlfriend, but then it goes terribly downhill when he reverts back into his old self, just thinking he's better than everybody else, so he hasn't learned his lesson. But other than character, I also think that setting is strong. You get a real sense of the city and where they are and the country they're in, and it's well established. What else is strong before I get into... I mean, honestly, okay, well, let's take it the other direction. I can't really think of any real weaknesses of the story. There's no plot holes that were obvious. There's no, like, writing gaffes. There's no characters who you just hate. Not because you hate them because they're bad people, but just because they're bad characters. There's none of that. So, yeah, overall, it's just a very, very strong book, and I'm really excited to go into the next one. But just... before I finish up, I just really want to get into, like, it's one of those things where you sort of have to read it. It just kind of grips you. And for me, as a new book review, it's sort of hard to quantify why that is, specifically. But, like, from the very first page, your very first character, Logan Ninefingers, you find you just like him. You're in. You want to hear more about him. You want to see what's going on with him quickly, immediately. So even if the plot from that point was absolutely non-existent, I would still be keen to see what's going on with Logan, And it's that with all the characters. Even though you don't like them necessarily, you just want to see what's going to go on with them. And I think Joe Abercrombie is just such a good writer for encapsulating that feeling. So yeah, I'll catch you guys for the review of Before They Were Hanged, which I'm currently listening to. Oh, that's where you note I'm listening to the audiobooks, and the narrator is fantastic.